Hello, welcome to this new tutorial. So today we're going to talk about generic methods. So in the last tutorial video, I talked about the generic classes. So in this video, I'm going to just talk about the generic methods. So let's do it with the help of an example. So I have this class, I have this just main class here, and there's already this main method here, which is our kind of like starting method. So what we can do is, so I'm going to create another method here. So let me just give an example. Let's say we have some kind of method here. Let's say, I'm just going to put something, it's called display, and let's say string. And what this method does is just displays. So if you notice, this method is very specific in the sense that let's create an instance of this class first, then we can just call methods, and I'm going to say display, and you just pass some string, hello Java, and I'm going to just run it. Yeah, you display the string. So the problem with this method, there's no problem, but it's not very expandable method actually. So because it only takes a string actually, and if you want to do a integer, you have to create another method here, similar like this, or if you to pass some kind of float, you have to use a different method. So the point is, I'm just going to convert this method into a generic method actually. So then it can take any kind of data type actually, basically any kind of data type, and just deal with it actually. So what I'm going to do is, so if you remember from a previous video where we discussed about the generic classes, we use, instead of string, I'm going to just call it t, which is a type actually, and let's not call it as t. I'm going to say, let's say it's element. And another thing with this method is, so you always have to define the type actually. So in the beginning, so this is the type, what kind of, this is the type variable here. So this is kind of like syntax here. So in this method generic, it takes like, this is a type, it could be anything, and the t is here, and then you can deal with the t. So let's say we can say t type equal to, so let's find, I'm just going to print what kind of thing was passed to this method. So I'm going to say element dot get class dot get name. So it's just going to print me the type or parameter type which was passed to this one, and I can say value is equal to, so whatever the value is, so value is really whatever the element, this is really the value actually which is coming into this method actually. So we just say element here, and what I'm going to do here is, so yeah, so now same thing, I already called this method here actually as a main dot display. So I passing a string, so the type of this will be string really. So let's say this should print string, and this element, which is nothing but whatever we are passing, so to just print hello Java. So let's see, yeah, see, t type equal to java dot language dot string, and the value is this. Now let's call it one more time, or a couple of more time actually. So let's say I'm going to say display, let's say I pass 10, and that 10 is just an integer, and this is I pass, like this is a float, and let's say this is a double. So I'm just clean this one. So basically here should print integer, float, and double, because these are types of the class which are passing. So yes, you see, first one is string, integer, float, double. And for that matter, actually, you don't have to really restrict it to this class stuff. You can always pass some let's say if I can pass some class data, I'm just trying to create a class data and see if we can pass this one to this one actually. So I'm just going to call as tr string, it's same class, nothing here, so empty, and I'm going to display data. This is just a method. I'm going to just print something here, like we just want to make sure we get print inside data class. Okay, so you see this data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say here main dot display. I can call just new data because I'm just passing this thing now actually, right? So now it should also display the data. So the type of the data is really data. That's the class, so let's run it. Yeah, see, it said the type of this thing is data, and obviously value, this is really memory address of this where it's stored in the memory, so that's why it's more, doesn't look like a proper value actually. So you got the idea. So I have just one method, but it can take any kind of parameter actually, so that's why it's generic. So there might be situations when you're coding that you could just generalize a method actually, and it will just save you a lot of time basically in coding actually. So another thing I'm going to just quickly discuss is there's a concept of like extends. Let's see if we can quickly do that here. If not, then I may be doing the next tutorial. So if you notice, what I did is, so if you have done generic, so there's a concept of like extends or super. So what I'm saying is this type, whatever type we are passing, so in this case we pass like string, we pass an integer, float, double, and we pass this area. So now what I'm saying is this type is, I'm trying to restrict it now actually. Earlier it was just type, you could pass any type, but now I'm saying, oh, this should extend from number. So what I'm telling is this type could be anything which is a number or any of the subclasses of the number, and we know the subclasses of the number are like integers, float, double, big decimal. They're all subclasses of the number actually. And now you see we start getting errors here, the compile time errors, because we are passing a string which is not a subclass of number. So I'm just going to comment it out. We are passing a new data which is not a subclass of the number. So so just do this one, and now you can just still print the same stuff. So what we did by doing this actually, we try to restrict. We didn't say any type, we said we put a restriction is called bounded types actually. So, and this is called so this is a bounded type, and it's called upper bound. So upper bound means it can go only up to number, not above the number actually. So but anything below number, below in the sense that anything which is a subclass of number can be passed to this one. Now there's another concept of called lower bounds actually. You can also say something, let's say I'm going to declare a, so I'm going to declare a variable here. I'm going to say something super okay. For this example, for the super actually I don't want to use numbers. So what I did is I created a something here called, let me just quickly go through, bulldog. So I create a class. So you see I create a class called bulldog, and this extends from the dog. If I go into the dog extends from the animal, and if you go to the animal is the root class. So you see hierarchy, animal is on the top, then dog is subclass of animal, then bulldog is subclass of the dog. So here we can also declare something like this, dogs is equal to new array list actually. So what this really means is this will contain everything which is a dog or is super classes. What's the dog super? It's an animal. It's a dog or animal, but it's not really contain the bulldog. But there is a little bit more than that actually onto this one. So probably we're going to talk about this particular concept in the next tutorial, because it's not straightforward actually. So if you notice, if I go say dog, and I can say sorry, dogs dot I'm not sure what happened here, but I think we can just save it for the next tutorial actually, and then I can just go through more details on this stuff actually. But this is the upper bound stuff, when you say something extends number, so I mean you can go up to number and any subclasses that can be put here. But if you do super, it means this class and all the super classes of this ones. So this is called lower bound in the sense that dog is the lowest, and then anything which is super, which is dog, we know the dog extends from animal, so animal is super for the dog actually. So this is called lower bound actually. So there is a lot of stuff around this generic. So sometimes you can also declare a list which is just a question mark, or I mean it can contain anything actually. So let's see if we can somehow this dogs variable is not becoming available. I'm not sure what happened on this one. Okay. Yeah, I think we're just going to work on this in the next tutorial. So I'll just take it out of from here. But today we just discussed about this mostly about this extends number, or basically the generic method. So I hope you like this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel and like the video. Otherwise I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.